Welcome to the Audi Garage. In this little video, guys, I'm just going to give you some quick updates on some new parts we've had rolling through, answer some of your guesses on the last video for the build, and maybe talk about some stuff at the end. So make sure to stick around. So the first item I want to talk about is these EGT sensor bung plugs. So basically, if you take out the EGT sensor in your manifold, OEMs, or the excess powers that we'll be using on the 500 horsepower build, we're left with an open hole that we could either TIG weld, MIG weld, or the easiest thing to do, and for the do-it-yourselfer that would be the easiest, would be to grab some of these flex plate bolts that will thread right into the hole. So the only downside to this is that they are 4mm too long. So you will need to either shave this down, or I'm going to whip up a jig and offer these pre-cut with the appropriate crush washer to seal against the manifold. So as you can see, they thread right in. But unfortunately, if you were to tighten this down all the way, we would have a 4mm gap, a little bit smaller than 4mm. So when I sell these cut to the correct length and chamfered at the end, you'll be able to thread them right in and have a clean setup without any EGT sensor wire coming out if they are damaged. Also, if you don't have readily available access for someone to tune out your EGT sensors, if they are bad and you don't want to spend the money to either replace them with OEM ones or buy the repair boards, I also do sell inexpensive EGT simulators that will hold a certain temperature for the computer to recognize, so it'll still think that they are functioning in a safe region. This is more of a quick fix if you just don't want to have to deal with anything else. It's a quick 2-second plug and play modification. These couple of bags here are what will be included in the turbo install kit, the supplemental install kit for when you buy any of the basically Chinese turbos that I sell. So in the kits, most of the hardware is okay to use. There's only a few bits and pieces that you'll want to replace. So in this kit, basically we're using all OEM style crush washers. I will also be including the fire rings, as well as the flange downpipe nuts. They're not the ones made for the 2.7, but rather another turbo downpipe that offers a much better nut. And then if you see my other videos, I also highly recommend replacing the oil drain bolts at the turbo and on the oil pan. So this is the actual updated oil pan bolt. Normally they're Allen heads, but the hex head is actually easier to install and take out if you ever need to. The price, I believe, is already posted. I'm just waiting for items in stock, so if you do place an order, you won't be left waiting. So if you guys remember, in the excess power introductory video, I did allude to some upgrades to the wastegates on the turbos. So we finally got them in the mail. Here is our 1-bar wastegate. Obviously we have 2 of these. I actually have 2 sets for testing. So we're going to install these onto those turbos. If you're not too familiar with how the wastegate works and what the difference is between a stock one and a 1-bar gate, I'm going to do a quick little explanation of that right now. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this wastegate operates on a stock KO3/KO4 turbo, and then I'll set up this one and I'll show you how this one works and what's different about it. So basically what I have here is a stock KO4 turbo with the stock wastegate hooked up to a boost gauge, and I have my air hose with my gauge hooked up to another port on this setup. So basically what I want you to do is, as I apply pressure, which you'll see on the gauge, look for when this arm starts moving. So basically you can see right around 5 or 6 psi is when that arm starts moving. So that's what people refer to as the cracking pressure of the wastegate. That's when the flap will just start to move open. So basically the downside to the setup is if you want the turbo to spool very quickly, you want to hold that wastegate closed as long as possible. So you can adjust the pre-tension on the rod to start cracking at, say, 12, 13, 14 psi. The downside is now you're limiting the overall travel of the arm. So you end up only being able to open the wastegate just a minor amount, which can lead to boost creep issues. The same setup to the upgraded 1-bar wastegate. I'll apply the same amount of air pressure we did in the first or the last test there. It's actually a little bit more, so 10 psi, and the arm hardly even moves. So what I'll do is I'll turn it up a little bit. And as you can see, right around 12.5, maybe even 13 psi, we start getting a little bit of movement. So while it might not be exactly 14.7 or 1 bar, these gates will do a lot better than the stock ones because we're going to be pushing so much boost. This will also significantly help our spool up time and make the turbos come in harder and faster. So make sure to stay tuned for the next excess power 500 horsepower builds where I'll be installing these wastegates onto the turbos and I'll start mocking up more parts on that build. Also, for those of you that commented on the last video for Guess the Build, definitely correct, single turbo kit. I'll be modifying the piping kit quite a bit because it looks like the fitment is not exactly the greatest, but that might involve making some nicer 2.8 style manifolds with a V-band connection that will have a better fit and seal up a lot nicer. So definitely stay tuned for those future videos as I'll go through and document the process of how to set up your engine for a single turbo kit. I don't think there's too many people documenting it in much detail, so this will be probably one of the most basic setups you can do, and it'll be geared towards people that are trying to decide between, say, something like a KO4 or RS6 turbo or a single kit. So we're not going to build the motor to start, and everything's going to be simple, and we'll do it on a budget to make sure that it's achievable for you guys. If you guys noticed the workbench that I was on that entire video, definitely stay tuned for the next video that's going to come out, and you'll get more information on what's happening with that contraption that I was on. Last update is the original B5 is home. This is the one that we will be putting the excess power turbos on. Right now it's not running. It might be a starter issue. It might be a seized up motor issue. Not quite sure, but we're going to figure it out. Probably maybe tomorrow, start diving into it, and I'll keep you guys updated on what happens with this because it'll be a good troubleshooting video. But like I explained in the last video, it's the first B5 I ever bought. It's Santorin blue. It has a Nagaro interior, full stage 2, but it's been in storage for quite a long time, so this will be its rebirth, if you will. So guys, that'll be it for this video. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, and in the description, I have links to our website, our Facebook, and our Instagram. As well, I've set up a Patreon for you guys who are interested in helping me out further. So click that link and learn more about Patreon and what you can do to help there. But until the next one, guys, see you soon.